introduce you to really the main reason you guys are here, which is not me, and that's Steve Nichols. Steve has been with Adobe for 8 years now, I think. Is that right, Steve? Yeah. Close. So Steve is like the man when it comes to anything related to Adobe and technology, and you know, he knows everything there is to know about not just mobile filmmaking, but even filmmaking with mobile devices. Steve's got a lot of experience in this area. Been doing it for a long time now. He's really the sort of the tech guru. I think his official title is business development specialist, something like that. But he really just understands the space with editing, shooting mobile devices really, really well. So by all means, pick his brain right now because you know, he's given us his time. So I really want to thank Steve and Adobe for not just sponsoring this here, but for coming along and just talking to you guys. Yeah, he wants this session to be interactive, so feel free to just ask him questions as he's going along, because he just wants to help you guys out as much as he can.
I'm going to plug this in and see, does everyone know how to get video off iPhones? I'm sure there are people that do, because it's not so easy. What you do is you Google it and find out. Well, that's how I do it anyway.
You do Lightroom, don't you?
It is weird.
Lightroom?
No.
Works off mine off Lightroom for some reason.
You can get it off Lightroom. That's cool.
It's your product, isn't it?
Is a terrific product. Being an Adobe product. Interestingly enough, and this is one of the very many issues that you tend to face, is that the first time you plug these things in, you go, okay, image capture is not actually seeing any of the images on my phone. So what I'm going to have to do is restart my computer. So these are the sorts of things that you have problems with. So I've just upgraded this Mac to Lion, and of course stuff goes haywire.
Array.
So interestingly enough, restarting it with it all connected, I should be able to get some stuff off that image capture. So I'm going to try Lightroom. Something that's going to work nicely. It's going to be a pain, isn't it? So that's good. So restarting should actually work for us. So what I'm going to do is get some stuff off and then just show a couple of quick things that will get you started, specifically with Production Premium. Production Premium is our video editing suite of software. So what's included in Production Premium, and if you, I shouldn't say this on camera, but if you don't want to buy it, you can download it, use it for 30 days. Cut the hell out of it and away you go. But if you do actually want to buy it, there's student editions, of course, and there's also currently a promo going. So if you go to the online web store, the Adobe store, and put switch into the promo code, instantly the software is half price. Production Premium, which includes After Effects, Premiere, Illustrator, Flash I think's in there, Photoshop Extended, all of those applications is actually cheaper than Photoshop Extended on its own in this promo. It's just ridiculous. So I didn't say any of that, because that's the only way currently that we can actually get that 50% off the promo. Like I said, cheaper than Photoshop Extended. So the computer's just going to restart happily for us, and this time hopefully we'll be able to actually see what's on there. Now I wanted to make this as real as possible, so this is the sort of problems that you're going to face. Look at this, image capture will pop up, and there's all the images. Sweet. Okay, so the way I've got a lot of photographs on here that are not relevant. There's actually, I reckon she's going to be a mobile phone film fest winner, because little Elise went around and filmed herself. This is me. So she comes up to the mirror and shows herself wandering around and starts making silly faces in it, and then goes around to each person in the house and the family, and this is my room, and it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious, especially the bit where I've got my hand in my pants and I'm just sitting watching television. Just shocking. You should never let a young child reach on your computer or a mobile phone. So what I'm just having a look here is that I've got different file sizes, and the file sizes I'm looking for are large, so that I'm aware of what his video is. So all I have to do is just click import, and this will take this file onto the desktop, which it has. And here's a classic case of making things just the wrong way. When you tend to take things with mobile phones, you almost always go like that, which is great if you can turn the television on its side, but watching video on its side is just absolutely useless. So here's what I mean. So I've got this little bit of video here of Elise just playing with the iPad. She's obviously filming her next film. But, you know, it's absolutely useless. I'm going to have to crop it down to actually use it on any sort of documents. And I'll show this later, because Warp Stabilizer is going to absolutely revolutionise how we do any of this sort of stuff. So the application of choice for getting in and starting to edit this, the application of choice for me, of course, is our Premiere Pro. There is Premiere Elements, which is our entry-level application for doing this sort of stuff. But Premiere Pro is actually what major filmmakers are actually using to cut films. So, for instance, Monsters was a film that recently was released. It's kind of an oddball film. I watched it on the plane, so it's probably not the best way to watch it. But Monsters was all filmed with a Canon 5D and cut with Premiere. So, really interesting sort of workflow. Okay, so I'm going to make a document, and at this point in time, I really don't know what frame rate, what resolution is coming off the iPhone at all. I have no idea. So I really shouldn't care. In fact, I'm just going to make a project here inside Premiere and call this. And make sure I put this on my desktop, maybe an untitled folder so I can find it later. Have too many untitled folders. And so I'll just pop this in here. So the next thing it asks me is to create a sequence. So Premiere is just taking me through the process of pulling all this stuff together. The sequence actually corresponds to things like whether it's a DV GSC, whether it's been taken one of these ABC HD cameras. It's been taken with a mobile device, so there is some mobile settings here. So I've got iPod and other bits, but we've got to assume that these ones are right. Honestly, I don't really know. In fact, 640 by 480 is probably right. But even if I didn't, I just press cancel here, because I want to use what I'm actually bringing into Premiere to start working with. So screen resolution is a bit of an issue here, but what we can do is start bringing in content from our computer. So all I do is just double click in our project bin there, and then I go to our video that we've just brought in at an enormous expense off my mobile phone. So here's one of the guys in the office who didn't know he was going to be part of this presentation, but okay. And so that's just bringing in the content. I can double click and just churn through that. See what's there. But to create a sequence is the next step of making this film. So to create a sequence from this video is just to drag it down onto the new item area here. So this is actually creating a sequence, and it's using all the specifications of that piece of video, which is 640 by 480. Again, as I said, I don't necessarily know, the resolution and the frame rate and all the other things that have gone into making this, but Premiere does it all for me, which is kind of nice. One of the biggest problems, though, with working with a mobile phone, if you don't have one of the alley things, is shake. And so luckily, we've got a fantastic way of sorting this stuff out. So as I said, Production Premium is our application of choice for these sorts of things. And the way to get shake out of something like this is to actually motion track. You can motion track on a point, but sometimes you're actually panning and moving things along. The application that will do this beautifully, this effect, is called After Effects. So After Effects is kind of like Photoshop with time and motion. It's Photoshop on steroids. Get into Photoshop and you've got yourself a nice little job apart from anything else. I'm just going to put this into my untitled folder here. Again, by going from Premiere into After Effects, I don't have to know any of the frame rates and all the other bits and pieces again. So again, I'm just going from the software actually knowing what I need to do. So as I mentioned, there is the capability to track motion. So I can put something, maybe a motion tracker on one of these points and then have the actual frame move around with it. But that's not necessarily what I'm always doing with a mobile phone. I might actually be moving along with something. So on that basis, we've got this new capability called Warp Stabilizer. I think they're all Trekkies in the After Effects area. Warp Stabilizer is incredible. All I've got to do to stabilize the motion inside that little video is that, and it will work out everything around that clip. That's it. And it will now happily go away and stabilize it. How's it doing?
No, what's the sort of limit of it doing it? Like, would it do, say you were running along and holding it and you're bouncing up and down, would it stabilise that?
Let's get somebody else to tell us about it, because otherwise it's just me telling you.
One of the great things about 5.5 is that it comes with warp stabilizer. What it essentially does, it takes handheld footage or footage that's just a bit wobbly or not as perfect as it should be, and through the magic of some math that I don't understand, you can press a button and it will kind of stabilize the whole shot. Okay, so this is the original, it's juddering and it's not great. Then go up to effect and into store and then down all the way to the bottom to warp stabilizer. You've got different settings that you can dial in and out, or it can be simple, you just press the button. This is the original, and this is the smoothed out shot. Just walking from left to right, like judder, and then with the effect applied, it looks kind of like a dolly shot. If I saw this on a film, or in a short film or a TV show or something, I would think they had a dolly there. I wouldn't think someone just walked with a camera. That's what's so cool about it. I was really impressed.
So he's the guy that actually filmed that Monsters, and he's really doing some interesting cutting edge stuff.
So when did this feature get added?
CS 5.5.
Oh, 5.5.
Yeah, so it's only...
It's a very, very new edition.
Very, very new, yes. It's only been out a couple of months, yeah.
Being curious to sort of develop a program at Spike, you nearly started on it. How does it work?
Magic. So what it's actually doing there is using an algorithm for, it's calling it subspace warp. So it's actually doing a combination of, it actually will warp. It'll take the camera positions and warp and move the video around. In fact, it goes frame by frame to actually analyse and work it in to get the different positions. So we can choose different things like position only, position, scale, rotation, perspective, etc., or just this subspace warp, which is very good. And we can also choose things like just stabilise only, and there you can actually see the movement. Actually, sort of, I was actually pretty still, which is not bad, but you can see the camera just shuttling around. And so that's in this stabilise. We can stabilise and crop, so it's cropped in, or we can auto scale, which is the standard. The other one, it will actually synthesize edges, so it'll take the edges and synthesize the edge to get some fill-in bits if you want to actually add extra bits. And so how does it do it all? It's just magic. There's so many fun things.
Also, my head's going with you. Maybe you could do this.
The only thing is to buy it and try it, or download it and try it, because it is free download. So yeah, it's absolutely new. It's astonishing. So then, with again the beauty of having Premiere and After Effects working together, that by right-clicking and taking it into After Effects, that stabilised motion is now inside After Effects, inside Premiere on my timeline, so I can start messing around with it. So that started me thinking, what else can we do interesting-wise with mobile phones and bring it together? And as I said, there's a lot of things in the suite. One of those things is Photoshop. And so what can we do with Photoshop to make some interesting, creative things with mobile shots? One of the great things that you can do with Photoshop, you have been able to do for a while, is create a panorama with multiple images. Has anyone played this? You'll just be blown away. So I'm just going to open up this series of images. Let's see. Panoramas on the desktop here. So I've got some images that I took in, this one, and that one. I took these series of shots with my iPhone in Perth, in one of our many roadshows, and just pan across. So this doesn't need to be just across as well. It can be up and down to get a higher resolution image if I want. Then what I do is just do an automate, which is called photo merge. And the photo merge, just grab all those open files. I'll actually bend, warp, distort, do some amazing things with this panorama. The net result is something that you used to have to do very carefully, bending and distorting and matching up frame by frame and all that sort of stuff. And you can see as you're changing along, you get some light variations. But Photoshop will fix all that and do a lovely instrument. So I'm just going to merge all those layers. And this is where it gets really fun. This is something called content aware fill in Photoshop. Has anyone seen content aware fill before? Alright, so I want to actually use all of that image, but it's done some distorting to fill all this sort of stuff out. So we've got this amazing little feature in Photoshop where I can put stuff back. Alright, so I just grab an area of the image and then use this fill, and the option there is content aware. In previous versions of Photoshop it would be foreground, background, etc. And that's all I have to do to remove my manual.
Now you see it, now you don't.
Absolutely. And if you ask me how that works, magic again. All it is, and in fact, I'll get rid of all this, this horrible green stuff here, and let's have a nice clean brick wall. So I just select it, go edit, fill, content aware. So that's again one of those many options. And content aware fill, just have to Google that one, and you'll be able to see lots of demos of this.
And Steve, which version of Photoshop is this?
This is CS5.
CS5.
So it's only in CS5.
We have content aware scale in CS4, but CS5's got content aware fill. Now I'm going to show the new stuff, otherwise okay, so now I've got this thing. What I want to do is just select, I just command clicked the area, and I'm just going to invest, and again, making you jealous of the versions, that's again what we need to do, is just expand this selection just a little bit. So I don't have to expand it too much, 5 pixels. And then I can do a fill, content aware, on that area. So this image now is going to be a series of still images from an iPhone, just all stitched together, and I can use this in interesting creative ways, like in Premiere and After Effects. This is just magic. So it reconstructs things from nothing. Outrageous. No.
So what is it? Image? Can you just, what was the steps again? Image, fill?
Edit, fill, content aware. So that it's actually now the default because most people will not put foregrounds and backgrounds.
Is this
They'll just
only in
go-
the latest version, or is
This is the latest version. We didn't actually update Photoshop in the CS 5.5 timeframe. So
So it's only in this latest edition
of CS5,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, from CS5.
CS5. So this particular feature's been out for 14 months or so, 14, 15 months.
Right.
That's insane.
It is nuts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just save that out, panorama, to my desktop. And so, you know, I'm thinking, you know, what else can I do with all these great tools that I've got? I've got my mobile taken panorama. But what I want to do is pop into After Effects and do some interesting work with it. So what I might do is just create a new composition. And let's grab that image that we just popped out there. So let's grab that panorama and put it down into our comp. So, you know, it's obviously an enormous comp, so it's absolutely huge. So if we just back out a little bit, you can see that, you know, the image is massive. And this literally, if I can just grab corners and everything else, is how, you know, a lot of the major filmmakers actually will create layered composites of scenes. So there's a terrific clip on YouTube for Shutter Island, where the island that they were going to wasn't quite dark and desperate enough, and it wasn't quite as hilly as they'd like. They actually generated composited layers of different images to create the effect, and used After Effects 3D layering to bring, you know, as the action moved, it made it look as if the hills were moving in the background and things. All it is just still images placed into backgrounds. So, you know, for something like After Effects, you know, I can literally just, you know, track.
Is After Effects the same as motion? Is it the
I would
comparable? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah,
is it the comparable Apple
it's
product?
what Apple tried to make motion into, but didn't.
Okay.
After Effects is still, you know, even the Final
Does
Cut
After
Computer
Effects work with Apple's Final Cut Pro?
I could say no, but it's not true. A lot of people use After Effects very comfortably with Final Cut, but the workflow that you saw me going from directly Premiere and having it go back, that's an Adobe workflow. So what people would do is create the effect inside After Effects, render it out, then place it into the timeline on Final Cut. So it's a more cumbersome sort of workflow. Ours is nice and smooth. So if I just bring this up a little bit, what I can do is just, you know, set anchor points, various points on my timeline, and maybe move my scene across. And, you know, I want action to be moving, of course. Then I'll put my video over the top of this. So I've got a video of John sitting there, so I'll just include that into the timeline. But, you know, John in the office sitting over the top is not quite what I'm looking for. But, you know, he's obviously enjoying the view in interesting ways. So again, just take it with a mobile phone camera. But what I'm going to do is just double click on that layer and go into something in After Effects that again will help me do some interesting effects. And let's just zoom up a little bit. Because what I want to do is use this roto brush. So the roto brush will allow me to just sketch across him very roughly. And let's go back in time there. Roto brush is just extraordinary because it's, you know, if you've ever had to carefully select something in Photoshop yourself, it's kind of complex. But what the roto brush will do is actually find thin edges automatically.
And how good is that? Pretty good.
Brilliant.
And is roto brush in Photoshop?
No. there is a, because this is very specifically, a frame at a time over 30 frames a second sort of thing. So it's not as absolutely refined as, say, fine edge that you can do inside Photoshop. There's some really nice things we can do in Photoshop to get a very precise sort of thing. So all I have to do is press the space bar, and you can see, even though that footage is actually moving along, the rotor brush is still working its way through that. And at some points, it starts losing some of that selection. So we just help it out frame by frame, and fill out the bits that it's not actually seeing. So we can just do it frame at a time, make sure it's getting exactly what we want. And the net result is deep etched drawing. I don't know why he's going backwards like that.
Can you put camera and lights in After Effects?
Yes.
You can?
Absolutely. So what we do is just add, use solids and cameras and a lot of different lighting effects and things like that. So you can even do things like have a light that has drop off and different points of focus and all those sorts of things all inside there. Yeah. It's an incredible piece of software that you start diving into. But, some things you just want to do quick and easy. This is a perfect place to do titles and that sort of stuff. Doing a lower third and then throwing it onto Premiere is really quick and easy. If you wanted to do more interesting text effects, this thing is absolutely fantastic at it. So, for instance, if I do type into our effects here, I'm going to do text effects. I can work my way through the various effects that are actually part of this and browse them out, etc. So I can pop out, browse some of these presets and see how they work, apply it to text, apply it to my compositions, throw it back again into Premiere and away we go. And it works really nicely. So, I know Final Cut users are desperately in tune with their Final Cut application. Try Premiere because it works really good.
So I gather one of these programs could do something with tracking as well.
Yeah, obviously that warp stabilizer is all about getting all those jelly bits out, but After Effects will do the track motion for us. So specifically, you just click track motion, find a track point, and it will create a point at which you can attach to an object.
Because I know in the past you've used different programs, but these days it's more integrated into a certain program.
Yeah, well, something like your editor doesn't do, a lot of those really interesting things like titles and other bits particularly well, and it doesn't do, track motion and stabilization fantastically well. So you throw it to the application that's best at it. Yeah. In this case, something like After Effects. So what we have to do is make them work very closely together, as if you're actually working in just one app, and that's what these things do extremely well. Yeah. So that takes us on to our next part. So we've got the video in, we've made some interesting effects and other bits and pieces. Then we've got to output it to the right sort of format, make it nice, sending up to YouTube, etc. So we've got extremely nice export features here, and a great way to export multiple different versions of what you're working on. So by using, I used the specifications of the video in the first place, so I'm not going to downsample anything. I can actually use this exactly as it was filmed in the first place, just by clicking match sequence settings, and it'll just use the sequence as it's been dragged. So I could do that, or I could use some compression. The sorts of compressions that I have are, for instance, H.264, which will create a nice MP4 that can be nice and small for us. And the sorts of presets that I've got for things like H.264 include iPhone, iPod, iPads, all the 3GPPs. So I can actually use any of these presets to create various file formats. And just by clicking on Q from this export, what it'll do is fire up the Adobe Media Encoder, which is a separate application, and place that document in there. So I'm just going to get rid of this one, queries in this instance. And that particular document, I might actually want to output 3-4 times in different codecs and different, just to see what how they necessarily go. So I can just duplicate this item and choose a completely different codec. So maybe go 480p and then just hit go on it, and it'll start the queue and start creating. Yeah.
I have a question. Like, say you're doing a music video for Mobile Screen Fest, and you need to put the music in. How would you do that?
Yep. Interesting. I wouldn't do it in After Effects. I'd do it inside Premiere.
Okay.
So in this case, I've already got just a little bit of audio sitting below the surface there of John talking his own crap on the phone. So what I want to do is just grab, of course you have to have the rights to use these sorts of things. I'm sure I've got some non-rights.
YouTube will find you out.
Yes, they will. Now this is just for demonstration purposes only, I'm sure. No, what's good? Mad World Editor. So we just import that in and then drop it onto the timeline and away you go.
Could you also change the sound levels to suit what you want?
Yep, absolutely. So here on the Premiere timeline, you can see that we've got the volume level, and so we can do things like add a keyframe at various points, bring that up, bring that down to suit. So you've also got the audio there in the film clip. So again, I can just come along and put a keyframe here and maybe a keyframe over here, and just let that slowly build up, etc. So it's totally flexible to do exactly as you like. And with Production Premium as well as a product called Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition is a sound editing application. So if you wanted to create, and it comes with a lot of free material which you can
so it's like the better version of GarageBand?
well, GarageBand is a separate application that's a bit different. Audition is used by a lot of radio producers, for instance, to put together, well, you can do things like, if there's traffic noises, you can actually remove the traffic noise.
Oh.
Just by selecting high-pitched noises, you can actually see in an audio area and remove it.
You couldn't have asked for that huge at a better time, could you?
Okay.
So you have to import audio, or can you sync it somehow? If you've got, say, an existing audio application, like say, I don't know, the window or something.
What you do is just create the MP3 or whatever audio file and then put that into Premiere, or you can bring that into Audition and start messing with it a little bit in more interesting ways. Because Audition is, I'm almost scared to show you this, but if I do show, well, it gets pretty intense. Like I said, from Resource Central, just over here, has lots of audio effects and loops and sound grabs and tracks and things like that you can play with. Each track you can control with a board. So you can go absolutely nuts with it. Like I said, there's a lot of possibilities there. If you've got multiple tracks, you can control each and every one of them. Bring the audio up, bring the audio down across all the different areas. Then throw that back into Premiere as your output. So it's a pretty full-featured application. It has an amazing.
Can you do with Audition what you did with After Effects? So can you just double-click the audio in Premiere and just flip it into Audition?
Essentially, what from this point, I want all of this into Audition. So I just say editing the sequence in Audition.
The answer,
yes. Yeah. Again, we want each individual application to be better by bringing it together as a suite, and that's absolutely the best way it works. So the apps just work better together. If you bought them all individually, it wouldn't be so good.
Are you recording Audition?
Yeah, you can record
multi-channel.
Yep. And set all the 5.1 and 7.1 points and all that sort of stuff. It's a very much a pro level application that you can do simple things in. I can do simple things to a certain extent. If I have a look at some of this sort of stuff, I can go into various views that you can actually see sound. So there, the intensity of the sound and the amplitude of the sound all in a spectral view, so that we can start sort of bringing that down to the point where if something's extremely noisy, to get the noise out, all we have to do is go to the effects here and go to noise reduction and something like adaptive noise reduction, and it's amazing how we just get the hisses and pops and all the other things out. It does really easy. So that's all part of that production premium suite. It's available online or download to play and try for 30 days.
It's really good that you guys are doing subscription services now. For
absolutely, subscriptions brilliant.
Really brave move, but a good one, I think.
Yes. Yeah, subscription you can do with all of the different applications. Of course, all of this stuff is available as students as well. So, Master Collection is something like $500, I think, for the entire suite of applications that Adobe has: Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, absolutely everything, Premiere, Dreamweaver, Flash, and that's available student edition. It's also available subscription.
If you've already bought, so I bought CS5 recently.
Mm-hmm.
And if I've already bought CS5 and I want to get the rest.
Yep. So which version of CS5 do you have?
I just bought it like last month, so whatever the latest one is.
Just Photoshop or?
Yeah, just Photoshop CS5.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can use the Photoshop license you have to upgrade to a suite, for instance.
Okay. And the fact that I got education approved means that, do I have to go through that again?
Well, yes. Yes. And in fact, the education pricing is so low that it's by lot if you want the full suite.
If you want so.
So there's no upgrade path from Photoshop for student version, unfortunately, because the price point's so low as it is.
When you mean upgrade version, you mean to
So
new version of Photoshop?
Oh, for Photoshop, it's buy again, yeah.
Buy again?
Yeah. So when CS6 comes out, if that ever happens, which that might be on YouTube.
Smart.
And interestingly enough, we have actually said that we will be updating the software in 12-month cycles. So we go to 0.5 update mid-cycle, and every 2 years go to full release. Any other questions? Bit of a flavour of what you can do with mobile phones. Pretty exceptional stuff. And pull together an exceptional video in no time flat. And as the cameras get better in these things, and we've got all those tripods and other things, people won't know what's been taken with a mobile phone. It's pretty amazing technology, guys. Excellent.
Thanks a lot, Steve.